What is up, Waffle Gang? My name is Mark, and today we're covering some r/relationships. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. And if you want to be super awesome, and as it really does help this channel out, you can support either on Patreon or on YouTube by clicking that join button below. And with that being said, let's get in to today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story comes from a throwaway account. How do I, 27 male, support my brother, 29 male, and his marriage after his fiancée, 27 female, cheated during a bachelorette party? I'll try and keep this brief as possible for anonymity. I will refer to my brother as Jack and his fiancée as Jill. My brother Jack and his fiancée Jill have been together for about 4 years and engaged since early 2019. I really liked them together and felt that Jill was one of the first marriage material girlfriends that my brother dated. The wedding was planned for earlier this year but was cancelled indefinitely after it was discovered that Jill cheated during a bachelorette trip 5 months before the wedding. She had no intention of ever telling him, but he found out when he saw a text from a friend of hers that was on the trip. The text basically said, "I don't know how I can stand up in front of your families and give a toast after what happened." After a few days of trickled truths and arguing, it came out that Jill had sex with someone while drunk. Jack was devastated and called off the wedding immediately. They broke up, and about a month later, Jack was in a new city with a new job. This seemed like the best possible scenario, since he was away from her and had new things to keep his mind busy. Well, that lasted all of a few weeks, and slowly Jill was getting back into his life. Now, a little over a year after the incident, she has moved in with him in his new city. Just last week, they became re-engaged. What? I've absolutely no respect for Jill, or any cheater for that matter, and I don't understand how Jack sees past what she did. There is no excuse for cheating, and to do it during a bachelorette party shows you have no respect for your partner or potential marriage. The first time I saw Jill after she cheated, which was at a family holiday only 2 months later, I was a little nasty and got scolded by Jack and my mother. From that point forward, I basically given Jill the grey rock treatment. I don't engage with her unless she says something first, and when I do talk, my answers are short. I assumed that they were doomed to fail, and I would just have to put up with her until Jack finally came to his senses. Now they are re-engaged, it looks like I'm going to have to put up with Jill longer than I expected, and I'm not sure I can keep up the grey rock routine. There's only so many uh-huhs left in me before I snap and say, "Hey, remember you fucked that guy." My question is, how can I be supportive of my brother and his marriage when I have no respect for his partner whatsoever? Wow, imagine finding that out, a bachelorette party, and then she cheated there. Oh my god, imagine if she suggests another bachelorette party now they're re-engaged. Oh my word. But I would say the only thing you can really do is support your brother. You know, he's made this choice to take her back. You may dislike her, but be open and honest with him and let him know your feelings. And maybe you can talk about this like adults. And, the marriage might end in disaster, but I personally think you need to support your brother through this. He's probably got a lot of mental stuff going on, and insecurities as well. So, if he's willing to try again, then that's on him. I would say support him while you can and just be there just in case. But let's have a look at some of the comments below to see what they say. General Guide says, "I think for the most part you're totally in the right for how you feel about Jill and what she did. At a certain point though, I think you need to examine where the line is where your hatred of Jill begins to hurt your brother. You obviously despise her, I probably would too, and the pain she caused your brother and family. However, life is messy and some couples sometimes reconcile even after infidelity. If they stay together and their marriage is successful, at some point your hatred will be the thing hurting your brother as much or more. If the pain fades over time, then Jill's cheating. Focus your energy on being there for your brother rather than hating her. Grey rock for now, but keep an eye for your brother's best interests, since he's the one you want to support. If down the line he decides to make a mistake getting back together with her, you can be the one to embolden him. However, if he really forgives her, it will be up to you to try to as well. If you're close with your brother, you may also want to talk to him honestly about what's going through his head right now. I'm sure he's confused, but there are so many layers to this story you don't know. Nothing that would justify the cheating, but perhaps something that would justify the forgiveness." Aioli Pretty says, "You're entitled to feel how you feel, but this is your brother's life. He made a choice to take her back after disclosure of the affair, so I'd advise you to get off your high horse and support your brother. I love how everyone on this site has never made a mistake and therefore can take the higher ground of total non-forgiveness. And I found another take on it. So we're going with Explorer Cora, who says, okay, so I'm going to comment because I have a unique perspective here. I cheated. It happens for lots of reasons. While there is no excuse for cheating and it's horrible no matter the circumstance, some couples can get through it and people can stop. I really hate the once a cheater, always a cheater perspective because it's not always true. People can change, they just usually don't. I know for me, I was young, immature and dealing with my own issues incorrectly. I was able to confront those issues in my relationship and separately, get therapy and grow as a person so that it never happened again. We are now married and have 2 beautiful children and I don't even think about cheating. I understand your loyalty to your brother and wanting what's best for him, but it is his life and his choice and your relationship will benefit a lot more from you being supportive no matter what his choice is, because even if it's a mistake, he's got to learn that lesson on his own. You don't have to be besties with a girl, but I don't think that people should be condemned their whole life over a bad choice either. We all make mistakes, and it's a lot harder to learn and grow from them if people assume you're a terrible person forever over them. Now, what do you think of those takes on that story? What would you have done in that situation if you was the brother? Would you support him? Would you hate the girl? Or would you just like say, okay, I'm going to try my best for him? Let me know in the comments below. Our next story is from Loud Exam. My 31 female husband, male 30, steals my hobbies and becomes better at them, and it enrages me. My female 31 husband, male 30, is a competitive nerd. I've been feeling down and demotivated for over a year, and don't have the energy or interest to cultivate my hobbies. I used to read many psychological books, and took 7 weeks intensive course on it as well this year. I'm really considering going back to school to learn more since I've always been interested in it. Not sure I can make it a career on its own, but that's another topic. I'm also into yoga. These are the 2 main things I enjoy. Now, I encouraged my husband to join yoga classes with me, but then he started to go almost every day, and I almost felt like he was fixated on becoming better at it than I am. He has also started reading this year. He reads almost no books in the last 6 years. I know him, but now reads like 12 books so far this year. 95% were my books or books I recommended to him. He lately picked a book himself, Amazon recommendations, based on previous purchases, which is meant for psychotherapists, very advanced and frankly beyond what I've read on that topic. It is all cool, and on one side I am happy for his growth and that he takes an interest, but I don't like competition and it makes me feel so small. He's supportive of me, but I know deep down he doesn't believe in me. He has a different idea of me. I work in a corporation and make more money than him, so it's not like I am a total loser in his eyes. Why can't he just pick his own hobbies? Why does he have to steal mine and become more advanced at it? Am I salty? I don't know how to approach this with him. Is this normal in relationships? I don't know where to go with this story really. I mean, you suggested him to take yoga, you suggested books to him, and he's done both of these things, and now you don't like it because he might be getting better at them than you, which almost sounds like a jealousy thing to me. Although I can understand your frustration, but maybe work with him, work alongside him, and do these things together. Just doesn't make too much sense. But let's have a quick look at the comments to see what they say. Naps are my favourite says and quotes, he's supportive of me, but I know deep down he doesn't believe in me. He has a different idea of me. Can I ask, where does this come from? What leads you to believe that he feels this way? OP replies, i.e. when I tell him about going back to school and just testing the waters with pursuing a degree in psychology. He tells me, that's great if it makes you happy, but I don't see you in a role as a therapist. Which is fair enough, I don't think I see myself in that role either, but it does not have to be my end goal. I could do many other things, and bottom line, I enjoy learning about it all. It is being dismissive of the idea from the get-go, without even giving it a thought/hope. When he reads a book that I read a year ago, he tells me about it as if I've never read it. He doesn't ask my take on something he just read, he explains it to me as if I didn't understand it the first time. Wee Ghosty says, you just sound jealous to be honest. Wood it says in quotes, why can't he just pick his own hobbies? Why does he have to steal mine and become more advanced at it? And then says, weird way to phrase it after you, now I encourage my husband to join yoga classes with me, and 95% were my books or books I recommended to him. So you introduced the guy to things you enjoy and encourage him to participate, but now you're upset he is participating and enjoying them. Then quotes, am I salty? You sound insecure and depressed. Followed by, I've been feeling down and demotivated for over a year now and don't have the energy or interest to cultivate my hobbies. Then says, and you're creating false narratives as a result. And says, I almost felt like he was fixated on becoming better at it than I am. Plus, he's being supportive of me, but I know deep down he doesn't believe in me. He has a different idea of me. And then says, these are the lies that a depressed psyche tells itself. Maybe your husband is legitimately interested in these things. Maybe he wants to be able to share them with you. Maybe he even wants you to keep it as a way to encourage you since you haven't pursued them in over a year. And some very good points made there. It does ring of depression, doesn't it? I mean, I've been down the path before where I lost all interest in my hobbies, lacked energy and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I was diagnosed with depression at that point as well. I'm not saying it definitely is the case, but you know, the signs are all there, right? So it would be worth absolutely getting checked out. And I encourage anyone to do the same as well. Never sit in silence. But what do you think of this story? What do you think that OP is going through right now? Do you think it's depression or do you think it's something else? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story is from a throwaway account. Wife 28 female is upset that I 30 male find her weight gain attractive. My wife has been an extremely serious runner since high school. She ran cross country and track in college and until recently would regularly run 80 or more miles a week. However, she suffered a serious knee injury earlier this year, has been able to run since, and won't be able to start even lightly running until well after her final surgery later this year. As a result, she's gained about 30 pounds, which she is extremely upset about. I totally empathise. I do weightlifting, and I too would be extremely upset and depressed if I could no longer participate in my sport and lost my physique as a result. Here's the problem, I can't help but find her a lot more attractive with the extra weight. Of course, I'm doing anything I can to support her desire to exercise again and get her toned body back, but it's impossible to hide the fact that I'm much more turned on by her fuller body than her previous lean muscular body. Obviously, I would never tell her this explicitly, but it's pretty clear from the way I look at her, the increased frequency I initiate sex, etc., and she has easily caught on. Today she point blank asked me if I preferred her fatter, her word not mine, and if I would be less attracted if she lost weight. Not knowing what to say, I gave the softball answer. I'll always be attracted to you no matter what. I love you when you're thick and I love you when you're toned. Her response was basically, yeah, but you've made it obvious I'll always be less attractive in your eyes after I lose weight, and that will hurt me forever. I don't really know how to proceed from here, now the cat's out the bag. Any suggestion would be welcome. Damn, now I can sort of see where your wife is coming from. That she used to run like 80 miles a week. That is some serious stuff. That's not no kiddie miles. So she must be like proper running, proper going for it and like, you know, really well fit. So you can see again, this is probably some form of depression coming out here that, you know, or maybe not even depression, but she's feeling extremely down about how she's put on this extra weight. Because, you know, she was really fit before and she's losing all that fitness she once gained because of her knee injury. And you said yourself that you would be extremely upset and depressed, so you know how she's feeling, right? And, you know, I can't blame you now you're attracted, now she's put on a bit more extra weight, you know. Beautiful bodies come in all shapes and sizes. I'm not sure if that sounded creepy or not. But again, it's just one of those ones that needs a real serious sit-down conversation and explain what you find attractive about her, and like before and after, you know. Because you clearly found her attractive before she put on the weight too. So explain both sides. But let's have a look at the comments below to see what they say. Struggling Man says, I'd like to point out that 80 miles a week isn't just someone who ran cross country in college. That's a training regime of an elite level ultra runner, as in someone who is competitive at the US national level, running 50 to 100 mile races. I'm not saying that's your wife, but she trains like that. She's an absolute badass. It is very, very hard emotionally for folks who train on that level to stop, as in depression. I'll bet she's having a very hard time. Swirly Butterfly says, you're not wrong for finding her new weight attractive, but it might feel like you were barely into her body shape for most of your relationship, and it also might worry you'll be less attracted to her if she loses the weight, especially if this new weight gain was only temporary for her because of an injury. She may feel like she'd have to choose between being her husband's ideal body type and her passion of running. Feeling Better Today says, I love this problem. You're attracted to your wife more when she is unable to put as much work into her appearance. The great news that comes along with this is that she's getting older, has had an injury, and nobody can keep up with her younger self. You're bound to have access to more curves. Right now, she's upset with herself about the weight gain, lack of control, and just having that huge part of your life, daily exercise, missing. In all honesty, she very likely feels so bad about herself right now that your obvious attraction is probably doing wonders for her self-esteem that might otherwise be very fragile. She's upset at the situation, but she knows you're attracted to her either way. She feels better about herself when she's toned, which I understand entirely. You're there to help her feel better about herself when she doesn't. Hopefully she will get to that point where she can see her beauty, both natural and earned. Dear Flamingo says, just say that's not true. I find you equally sexy both. It's just a turn on right now because it's something different. Same if you changed your hair colour. Now, how would you deal with that situation if you was OP? How would you approach the wife and talk to her about it? What would you say to her to make her feel better about herself? Let us know in the comments below. And our next story is from a throwaway account. My 29 female husband, 29 male, fell down from the first floor and broke his arm just to get my attention. How do I have a conversation with him about this and tell him what he did wasn't okay? My husband and I have been living together for over 6 years now, married for 4 years. Living with this person for 6 years, I've always known that he was a really shy person, and he would always hide his feelings no matter how desperately he needed help. He would never tell anyone, not even to me. He would always drop hints and make me figure out what his problems were. He would never tell it to me himself. It was kind of a pain in the ass whenever he did that, but he wouldn't do it very often, so it didn't bother me much. Last morning, I heard a loud noise and I heard my husband scream in pain, so I rushed to see what had happened, and I found he had fallen down and injured himself. I thought he fell from the stairs, but he actually jumped from the first floor on purpose. Our floor is approximately 10 feet high. I took him to hospital where x-rays were taken, and he had broken his arm and 2 toes in his foot. While on the way back home, he started crying. I could see he really wanted to tell me something, but words wouldn't come out of his mouth. I took him upstairs to our room and helped him sleep, and asked him what happened and if he was crying due to the pain. He told me that he fell down on purpose because he desperately needed my attention, and he told me he had no other way of getting my attention. I was completely heartbroken after hearing that. I didn't know how to react. I didn't want to say anything rash to him as he was already in pain. I just held my tears in till he went to sleep. For the past 2 years, both my husband and I have been giving less attention to each other because of our work. We both had duties that we need to take care of, and by the end of the day we're too tired to even tell goodnight to each other. I thought about it throughout the night, and yes, we're both going further apart from each other each day by day. The last time we had an actual conversation was about 10 to 12 months ago, when we talked about having kids. The last time we cuddled was when we was in lockdown, and the workload on me was a lot less compared to now. The last time we kissed was a long time ago. I don't even remember it. I know that I've been really busy for the last 2 years due to my work, that I haven't been able to give him what he deserves. I never given him attention by myself. I've only given it to him when he begged me for it, and now I feel horrible. I feel it's all my fault, and I'm seeing this today. But at the same time, I feel that it wasn't my fault. I had no choice. I only get 24 hours in a day, just like everyone else, and I can only do so much. I will see what I can do and try my best from now on to make time for my husband, and I will do it every day. I've decided it because nothing on this planet is as precious to me as he is. I want to have a conversation with him about this and tell him what he did was not okay. I want him to know he should never do such a thing again in his life. I want him to be more open with me, and maybe we can both give each other attention that we deserve. If you can suggest something on how to get on with this, I'd be truly grateful. I might be wrong in coming out and saying this initially, but this whole relationship sounds messed up. The fact that you haven't spoken to each other in such a long time, cuddled or just had a normal conversation, you don't even say goodnight to each other, like that's a chore in itself. Like saying a couple of words like goodnight is too much trouble. That sounds completely messed up to me. And for the husband to think, you know, what I need to do to get her attention is jump from the first floor. I mean, what the hell? Break bones in my own body to get attention from my wife. This is just so unhealthy, it's unreal. We're going to go straight to the comments with this one to see what we can find. Team Bags Under Eyes says, he needs serious psychiatric help. This relationship seems highly dysfunctional. You haven't had an actual conversation in a year, and you can't remember the last time you kissed. He self-harms for attention he refuses to verbalise. You think it's normal to not converse for several months at a time. This is above our pay grade. Best of luck. Tron Burgundy says, agree with the others on therapy, maybe even couples counselling. Your excuse of only getting 24 hours a day is bullshit though, and you know it. I've not had a day off since the pandemic and work a minimum of 50 hours a week Monday to Friday. My girlfriend is a nurse at a local hospital, and when the pandemic first hit, she was bombarded with hours, and most were nights on weekends. We still made time for each other, because at the end of every day, we still want to spend time with each other. You say you want him to be more open, but you haven't had a conversation in a year. His actions are that of a child, but so are yours, I'm afraid. If you don't address the real issues, the one caused by them won't go away either. Oloriaki says, I think OP should put some boundaries on work. Yeah, the pandemic has done a lot of damage to a lot of people, but letting your job overwhelm you to the point where there's no work/life balance isn't healthy. People are not robots that just do work and don't need anything else. So take some time off work, go to therapy with your husband. It seems like you want this relationship, so fight for it. But the key here is that you both need to be on the same team. And Robin Cat says, you both sound very unwell. I don't think Opie is innocent and clueless about her husband's mental health as she makes herself out to be. I think we're missing a lot of information. You don't go from nothing to jumping from a high distance to purposely injure yourself without a lot of intermediate events. And Razum says, what the fuck job do you have that you literally work from the moment you get up to the moment you go to sleep every single day? Why are you even married to this man if you won't, not can't, won't, make time for him? What do you even get out of this relationship? Because it sounds like you don't have time for it and don't want it because you won't make time. Your husband needs psychiatric help and you need to reevaluate whether you want to waste the entirety of your life slaving away at your job with no time to actually live. Now, what do you guys make of this? Someone jumping from the first floor to injure themselves to get attention. That's incredibly scary. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Once again guys, thank you for being here today. If you did enjoy today's stories, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it really does help us out. And also consider supporting the channel, mainly through Patreon, because that helps me the most. And thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time out of your days to come here and watch these videos. It really does mean the world to me. And I will see you in the next one. Take care. Much love.